commentator. Now, I want to bring in Liberal MP Tim Wilson, joins us live from Melbourne. Good to talk to you again, Tim.
Thanks, Chris, but I'm actually in Canberra. So
there you are. There you are. And you're ready for the Ds tonight, of course.
Go Ds!
We'll get to the Ds in a moment. First up, I want to show you what we got from Britain yesterday from a leading British Lord Denner. Here's what he said about Australia and climate change. I couldn't believe this when I saw it on Sky News yesterday.
We're not prepared to hang our hat on the Paris Agreement, to which we have put our solemn promise and which we have put by law into action in this country, when we're dealing with Australia, which is one of the recalcitrant nations, one of the countries that's not doing what it ought to do, then really we are not taking the lead at all. And to do this at a time before COP26 is very serious.
Well, a friendly country, the same side of politics, but he's talking tosh, isn't he? Australia is one of the few countries that's met all its international commitments on climate change and emissions reductions.
Well, there's two parts, Chris. Firstly, yes, we're a country that actually honours our commitments. A lot of countries talk big but don't deliver. And so we have a very good record there. We've got way to go. Nobody's trying to pretend otherwise, but we've cut emissions by more than 20% off 2005 levels. Our target for 2030 is 26-28%. So we're clearly going to smash that like we have with our Kyoto targets in the past. But the second point is, we negotiate trade agreements to be about trade issues. And that has always been our position, because once you chuck in environmental, labour issues, you end up with, they're not trade agreements anymore. They just become political agreements which undermine our national interest and, frankly, the UK's as well.
Yeah, there should be a clear difference. Otherwise, we would try to change human rights in China through our free trade agreements or the like. Good luck with that one.
Luck.
Now, tell me, as a former Human Rights Commissioner, what are your concerns about what people are loosely calling a vaccine passport? Are we going to terribly disadvantage and discriminate against people who make the willful choice not to get vaccinated?
Well, I hope not. I mean, firstly, my objective is to encourage people to get vaccinated like I have, because I think it's the sensible option. But there is a proportional relationship around how much, if you don't want to get vaccinated, other people are then compelled to engage with you. If you want your freedom respected not to get vaccinated, then you also have to respect the fact that other people might go, well, I'm not so sure that I really want to engage and put myself at risk or other people at risk, because vaccines don't stop the transmission. They just stop the negative health impacts, and you can transfer it on to other people. So it's really a proportional test, and it's a conversation that requires mature consideration. And frankly, you know, with all due respect to the people, the Human Rights Commission at both the state and federal level, they should really be leading this conversation about what that proportionality is. I don't think it's if you're going to go to the supermarket, but there are tests where, you know, people might have to have very close proximity and may not be able to ameliorate the risk. And the reality is we're not through this pandemic. There are still other strains overseas that may yet come here, and we don't know the scale of their effect and also their immunity to vaccines as well.
Yeah, there's a reasonableness test that should be there. Your point about the Human Rights Commission is a powerful one, because they've just been missing for the last year and a half. They should have been leading the discussion about the rights we've been sacrificing with the pandemic response, and that should be carrying on through with this issue when it comes to vaccination. I mean, what on earth are they doing?
Well, it's not, with all fairness to the federal body, it's also been state bodies who haven't really been the participants in the conversation they should. I mean, this week I got an email from a human rights body in Melbourne saying, oh, you know, the number of people who want a charter of rights has risen. And I said, well, I'm not surprised. I mean, people have had their liberties completely trounced by state governments, and sometimes in deeply questionable circumstances, particularly things like curfews, which don't actually really seem to do anything except make the job of the police easier, and even the police say they don't want them. But when I wrote to the Human Rights Commission at a state and federal level last year and said, what's the justification for this? All those bodies were silent and said nothing. And in fact, one of the things that's come out of this crisis is how useless charters of rights actually are. We have one in Victoria, and hasn't stopped Andrews doing anything.
We'll take that up, but we have to get in the most important issue, the Ds tonight. They're the favourites. Be careful. The favouritism is a burden. Favouritism is a burden. Got to play this week, not think 2 weeks ahead.
No, I agree. I mean, the last game against Geelong was a very close run thing. Right. I am not overconfident.
Good luck.
I'm wishing them well. Go D's, but there's no guarantee.
Thanks for joining us. Tim Wilson, he is a big Demons fan, as you know. Have